Hello,
Hello, and
and
welcome
welcome back
back to
to
the
the Two
Two
Cents
Cents Podcast.
Podcast.
This week, we're going to be talking about our wedding
Ooh,
because if you are listening to this podcast on Wednesday, the day it comes out on October 10th or 9th, sorry,
ninth.
October 9th, that is the day after our first wedding anniversary.
Woo, first year.
We got married last year on October 8th, and we made a video about how much everything cost. It went crazy viral in a way that we were not expecting. And at the time, a lot of the comments and questions that we got, because we posted it when we were on our honeymoon, we didn't really get to address because we were on our honeymoon.
Right. Try not to live on our phones.
Right, and not only that, the comments were actually really not nice for the most part, and I don't wanna say it ruined our honeymoon because it didn't, but it definitely
It ruined the joy of what we were trying to do.
yeah.
Because our whole thing is transparency. And with that, we figured, being very transparent with our wedding and how much that cost, it would show people that there's other options out there. You don't
Yeah.
have to spend $20 million, you know. But with that, we did get a lot of negative comments. And it definitely was disheartening.
Mhm. Yeah, so I guess right now would be a great time to roll the clip so everybody who is listening can kinda get that background before we get into it, so roll the edited by our new hire, Drea. She was working with us part time, and we've been working with her for a little over a year now. And actually, we're bringing her on full time
Yeah.
next week. So, this is really exciting that full circle, her work is coming back into play here. And we're also bringing her on the team because she obviously did something right with how viral it went.
She did a great job. I mean, amazing.
But the audience would probably argue we did something wrong with everything that
Right.
we did with the wedding.
Okay, so let's start off with how much did it
Yeah,
cost?
so we'll go through, we'll break down a little bit and give more background about all the different things and the total costs. And then we're going to answer some of the most common questions we got on the video. And if you're listening to this and you're also thinking, last week you told me we were going to cover your housing budget and your household budget, you are right. And we are so sorry. But we forgot that it's our wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
And we realized that that would be actually the perfect week to talk about this episode, this topic. So we have not forgotten you. And
Yeah.
we promise this is the last time we will say this. It will be in next week's
Yeah. So
episode.
stick around. I promise you we'll break it down for you.
We sure will. But this week we're going to do our wedding. So the total cost of our wedding was $11,000. And I wanted to post about our wedding because $11,000 isn't chump change. That's a good sum of money, but I felt really proud of ourselves for spending that little because the average cost of a wedding in the United States is over $50,000. So, I know a lot of the comments were like, how did you even spend that much on such a crappy wedding and things
Yeah.
like that? And that was so disheartening because I was, proud of how little we spent. And we worked really hard to spend as little as possible because we didn't want a big, crazy wedding.
Right. And at the same time, we still wanted to make sure that we did exactly what we're preaching, which is pay everybody fairly. So with
Yep.
that, like, yeah, some of the costs do seem extreme, but like people don't realize we're in DC.
hmm
So doing anything in DC is expensive. So for us to be able to, do everything that we did with the pictures, venue, outfits, rings, all of these things, and still stay under what I mean. Our original budget was 15,000.
Our total budget was 15. We really didn't want to go over
Yeah.
15.
So for us to stay under that, I mean, like I was very proud of that. And
Yeah.
especially because to me, I mean, to us, the wedding is about us and it's
Mhm.
for us. So why spend $50,000 for a party to appease everyone else when we know what we want, you
Yeah.
know? Like we know how to make ourselves happy. So,
And to be fair, I definitely have regrets. There are some things that we spent money on that I'm like, I would have done something differently,
right.
but that's what we'll talk about. So I think the first thing to talk about is what cost $0. What were we able to spend no money on this wedding? Number one was our venue where we actually got married. We went
Yeah, our
to
ceremony venue.
our ceremony, yeah, our ceremonial venue. We went to Gravelly Point in the DC metro area. It's a special place to us. It's a place we've gone a couple times throughout our relationship, holds a lot of, positive memories. It's this beautiful park that is right next to DCA, which is the DC National Airport. I don't know if it's international, but the DC airport. And when you're there, the planes fly right above you. And it's a beautiful, you feel like you can touch them as
Yeah.
they go over you. And as people that travel for our work, but are also travelers at heart, it felt like, a really a
The
good
right place to
place.
be. And I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like, it's a great location right off of the Potomac. You got clear view of the runway.
Mm-hmm.
You got the clear view of the Washington Monument right in the
Yeah, the
background,
monuments.
like greenery all around. So we were like, this is beautiful. Obviously, it makes sense for us to do a ceremony here.
Yeah. And it
And
was $0.
$0. I mean, granted, it was kind of a if the park rangers come up.
Yeah, you actually did have to get permission, but I was like, that's BS. We're literally going to be there for 15 minutes.
Right.
We're not going to be bothering anyone. And when we went there, I was like, I think we'll be fine because the rules of the park are that you can't have like chairs, you
Tent.
can't have tents, you can't have any of these like big things for picnicking. And we went and a bunch of people were doing that.
Everybody was there with chairs.
Yeah,
So
so I was like, okay, the rules are kind
yeah.
of lax here. And sure enough, we didn't have any trouble.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, we didn't bring any chairs or anything. It was a 15-minute ceremony where we had all of our friends and family show
Hmm.
up. We said our vows, our I do's.
Our buddy Riley was our officiator, so we
Shout
didn't have
out
to pay for
Riley.
that. Yeah, he almost forgot. Actually, he
Mhm.
did forget something important,
It's
but
all
it's
right though.
okay.
Yeah.
That's why he was free.
Right. And then yeah, we had our photographer there as well, so we
Yeah,
got some amazing pictures of us and our family and of us with the Washington Monument in the background
beautiful
with a
shots.
plane
We'll
flying
talk about
overhead.
the photographer in a little bit because that cost us $2,600, and a lot of people were like, "You got ripped off."
Oh, you paid too much.
And I want to address that really quickly. I guess that's answering one of the questions early. We definitely did not overpay for that. Actually, the photographer we got was the cheapest rate we got. And I asked many photographers in the DC metro area. They were all charging over $5,000.
And that's
And
average.
and that's average. So the fact that Nicole, who was our amazing photographer,
Yeah, shout out
cost
Nicole.
$2,600, and we will link all our vendors down in the descriptions below if you're curious about anything. So we'll tag her below, but she was wonderful. She also gave us a on the house engagement shoot, and some of those photos were just like my favorite,
Yeah, when we
honestly,
actually shot those in
in
Baltimore.
Baltimore.
Yeah.
And I think the reason she was a little bit cheaper compared to other photographers is because she is in Maryland, like, deep in
Yeah.
Maryland. And she, decided to work with us. I'm really grateful because we really waited until the last minute.
Really.
And that's kind of where our mistake was
Yeah.
they
I
were
mean, but
charging high rates.
yeah, and at the same time, I meant like we didn't know that wedding season was this season.
Yeah,
And we
first
kind of
time.
yeah, we kind of put the business in front of everything.
Mhm.
So when it came down to the actual planning, we were like, all right, we got a little bit of break from the work aspect. Let's go ahead and focus on our wedding.
So, for those who don't know, James and I were engaged when we started Salary Transparent Street. We had actually just got engaged in December. We started the page in April. We wanted to get married within a year, I think was the goal to get
Yeah,
married
that
that
was
following
yeah,
winter.
a year
And
to a year and a half. That's what we were shooting for.
yeah, and then Salary Transparent Street happened, and we were like, Whoa.
Skirt.
We need to pause, and we put it off to the following winter. So we basically were engaged for almost 2 years
Yeah.
before we got married.
But with that, so a lot of our expenses were on the higher end, or it was more difficult to find things.
Yeah, so we waited really late because everything was just so crazy. And it was really kind of a last minute, like really rushed process to get everything together, which wasn't fun. I will say I
Yeah.
hated the wedding planning process. I was so over it. I wanted to elope at the end of it and just
Yeah.
run, because
And
we won't talk about this, but I'm sure everybody who has been married or been involved in a wedding will know that there are family interferences. Everybody has an opinion. I was so over it. I just wanted to get married. But we
all right.
decided to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So we decided to go with Nicole. She cost $2,600. We got her for the entire day for our wedding. She
Entire day.
stayed the entire night when we went to our reception. She did our engagement shoot. So honestly, for $2,600 compared to over $5,000 that we would have been paying to another photographer, we didn't get ripped off.
Yeah.
But
And
the
the
internet
pictures
loves
were
their opinion.
yeah, the pictures were amazing too.
Hmm.
So it's not like we got subpar pictures for twenty six
Oh,
hundred
they were
dollars.
phenomenal.
Phenomenal pictures from both the engagement and the wedding.
Yeah.
Um, and like thank her for that. By all
Hmm.
means, she recommended a lot of the places. Um, just yeah,
I
amazing.
know, and she was so nice too. She just really vibed with us. It
Yeah,
was we were taking a shot on her because we didn't know her,
right.
and we were just hoping for the best, and it really worked out. So
It
shout
really
out to
did.
Nicole. Other things were that we didn't spend any money on our invites. I thought that was not stupid. I'm not judging if other people do it, but we wanted to cut costs any way that we could. And that to me was one of those things that we're doing virtual email invites and we're spending $0.
Yeah. Well,
So we use the knot.
especially because the other thing is we try to stay environmentally
That
conscious.
too.
So sending out paper invites just wasn't even in the books.
Yeah, we also didn't have that many people that we were inviting. Our total list was like under 40 people.
Yeah.
So it didn't really feel like, I knew we were going to spend more because we had less people, and it just didn't really feel like a good use of money.
Right. Right.
So $0 there. Another thing that we spent $0 on was the DJ. We did a Spotify playlist, and actually, so we did spend money on our reception. So $0 on
You on
our
the
wedding venue, but we spent $4,400 on our reception venue, which included an open bar and a bunch of food. So like open bar, open food, all of that,
yeah.
and the venue, which was closed off. We got the back patio of Spider Kelly's in Arlington, Virginia, which some people who know what it is commented that that was like cringe
Yeah.
and
And trashy.
trashy. That's your opinion.
Right.
That's fine.
That's your opinion.
What you don't know is that James and I actually met at Spider Kelly's on my birthday, my 21st birthday in 2017,
Yeah.
and it's a special place to us for that reason. We've also lived in this area ever since, so we've always kind of gone back, and it was really special to us. And if you think it's trashy, that's okay, but it wasn't your wedding and you
Right.
weren't invited, so don't know what to tell you. $4,400 I thought was a really great price. And then the DJ being $0 really worked out because we only had the venue in Spider Kelly's for like 4 hours.
Like 4 hours.
We weren't going to have like a whole dance party. That wasn't the thing. Our wedding ended at like 8 p.m. It didn't go into the night. And we got to choose our favorite songs.
Yeah. And that was the thing too, is because our whole focus was keeping the wedding about or for us,
Yeah.
because we know that a lot of people tend to get wrapped up in the wedding.
Mhm.
Like you spend more time talking to your guests, that you don't enjoy things, which that still happened.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, we were like, it's a party to celebrate us, so we'll listen to the music that we like.
It was the best.
That we want to.
Mhm.
We go to the venue that we want to go to. So a lot of people tend to need to show how grand things are. We need to get married, here and spend $12,000 on a piece of cake, which,
We're
to
not
yeah,
judging.
to each its own, by all
We have
means.
friends that spent over $100,000 on their wedding.
Right.
That's okay. That's your money, and what you choose to do with it is your prerogative. but don't be horrible to people when they are openly transparent with you with the guise of helping and just showing a different perspective.
Yeah. And the thing is, we didn't get any help either for paying for this. Um,
No, we didn't. We were looking for sponsors. We got none.
yeah, I mean,
We
the
tried.
knot was a possible one, but then
Yeah,
that
they
never.
they didn't want to help out even though our videos gained them over 1 million views. I digress. That's some tea for another
Yeah.
day. But so going into a little bit more of these costs, I guess we can just start by answering some of the questions because they kind of go
Yeah,
into
they'll
the
answer some
costs.
of the costs.
So the number one thing that I really wanted to address was some people commenting. There were two sides of the comments. There were some people who were like, why are you bragging about this? Like, this isn't anything to brag about. Like, I spent 10 times more on my wedding, yada, yada. Or there were people that were like, you got ripped off. Like, you should have spent $0. Like, it was trash. And I just want to clarify. I mean, it goes without saying, but we weren't bragging.
Yeah.
Like you said, we were trying to share it from a transparent lens, and the fact that people spend $50,000 to $100,000 to way more on their weddings, we wanted to show what a lower cost wedding would look like. And for some people, if you did go to a courthouse, and do something at a barbecue in a park, it would cost $0. But this is how much it costs for us in the DC metro area. And I think that that's interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
But some people didn't think so. I would say actually the comments were really mean to the point that we talked about this, that it didn't ruin it, but it stained it.
It definitely stained it.
It stained our honeymoon, just the negative comments in particular. We got a lot of racist comments.
A lot of racist comments, which is
A lot, a
the
lot, a lot.
the thing that always gets me
That was hard.
is you follow the account because you recognize that there's this unified problem we all have, which is being underpaid.
Mhm,
You decide that you want to follow because you would like the knowledge.
mhm.
But then you hear that there's an interracial couple who is leading the account getting married, and you decide to spew racist, speech.
Bigotry.
Yeah, it's to me it just doesn't make any sense because it's how are you on our side on one side, but then as soon
Mhm.
as you cross the street, you're this
Yeah.
completely different person.
It just shows people who don't really know us and don't follow us for the right reasons. And, when you're on the internet, that is something that is prevalent. It's every single day you're getting something like that. It just, we hadn't really experienced it to that extent
Yeah.
because we've always been separate. You're behind the camera, I'm in front of the camera. Sometimes people see us together. If you see us in person, you definitely see us together, but we hadn't shown up on camera that closely
Yeah.
together. And I was just shocked, honestly, by some of the comments we got. They were really like, I cried. It was terrible,
Yeah.
and it was really mean. And the internet's not easy.
Definitely not.
So with that, I think that that goes into kind of not funny, but related to racism. A couple people commented, why were there no black people at the wedding? Like, where was quote unquote your family?
Right.
And just really quick, I do want to say there were, I'll let you address it, but how are you going to infer how many people were at the wedding, of which we mentioned there were about 40, from a 30-second clip that's focused on us?
Well, and the thing
I'll
is,
leave it at
the
that.
out of the 40 people, 42 including us that were there, the 30-second clip only showed 7 people.
Yeah.
So you assume that there's no
Of
black
which
people.
some were black.
Right. So you assume that there's no black people there because you see 7 people. Yeah, the comments didn't make any
And who
sense. Yeah, and
cares?
who cares? I mean, like you don't
What
know
the
what.
heck?
Well, the thing is people just make assumptions. You don't know what my family dynamics like. I could have
Mhm.
been fully adopted.
Yeah. Or
Like
I could have been. What if my family was black?
then it,
You
well,
don't
they wouldn't
know.
have said, "Well, where's all the white people?" But
Yeah.
like the thing is people just make assumptions, and unfortunately, with the internet, it gives people that anonymity to say whatever
Whatever they
comes to
want.
mind. Unfortunately, and a lot of people don't have the restraint,
Yeah.
of being able to filter yourself that we're used to having.
Yeah.
The internet just completely allowed people to remove that.
I tell people when they ask about that, how do you deal with comments and hatred, that the internet, like the comment section in on the internet is people's kitchen table.
Yeah.
When they're reading the newspaper and they're commenting on, "Oh my god, this is so stupid. Why would they do that?" That comment that they make at the kitchen table that they think only them or their family hears is actually what they're commenting in the comment section because they think it's the same level of anonymity. But they don't realize that we do read everything, and we do that. We actually had to read all the comments because we were getting so many racist ones that we saw everything. And
Yeah.
some weren't racist, but they were really cruel. Another one that we got that was really mean was people talking about the cost of my wedding dress and how cheap it looked, that it looked like I got it from Ross, and my wedding dress cost $75.65. I did that on purpose. I didn't want to spend thousands of dollars on a wedding dress that I was only going to wear once. And some people are like, "Well, you can dye it, you can wear it again." I'm kind of the mindset that the wedding dress is something you wear once.
Yeah.
And I'm not really a picky person for style. I look good. They hate to see it. I look good in a lot of different things, cheap clothes, expensive clothes, you name it. I wanted to feel confident, comfortable, and pretty. And I found that in a dress on Lulu's that I ordered online. I loved my wedding dress.
I loved your wedding dress.
Thank you. I actually loved it so much that I got it in black because I want to
Yeah.
wear it at like another event. So, yeah, I mean, some people have their own opinions, but things like that, man, are just so mean. Like, just
Yeah.
keep your
Well,
comments to
that's the thing
yourself.
is this materialistic mindset that people have when it comes to weddings. Like you have to spend this
Yeah.
much.
And on that note, the amount of people that were shocked at how much your suit cost compared to my dress. Your suit cost $752.
Yeah.
People were outraged. They were
Outraged.
irate. They were upset.
Yeah.
Why?
And well, the thing is one, when I was looking at suits, I was like, obviously, like I want a nice suit to wear to the wedding. But then, like, because of my body shape and height and weight and stuff like that, like I needed to get my suit tailored as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
You went
what?
to Men's Warehouse, right?
Correct. I went to Men's Warehouse and I was like, hey, I know pretty much what I want, but like, I want a suit that I can wear all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I got a suit that I've literally worn since the wedding day. I've worn probably about 10 or 12 more times now,
Mm-hmm.
so therefore it has definitely got its money worth out of that.
Mm-hmm.
But then it was also tailored and then it was Calvin Klein. And with that, the suit was the
Calvin
shoes.
Klein.
Yeah, it was the
In
shoes.
your Calvins.
It was the shoes, the socks, pants,
Mm-hmm.
belt, shirt, tie, jacket,
Cufflinks.
cufflinks,
The works.
yeah, everything. So I was like, I
And
don't
you
want.
didn't have one at home and you
Correct.
wanted a new one.
Right, right. So with that, like, yes, a good suit costs money. And for the people that was like, oh well, I could have got a suit for 50 cents. That's perfectly fine. I don't it's not you that's wearing it.
Yeah, but I just think it's so fascinating that people were mad that your suit cost more than my wedding dress. Like
Yeah.
they were mad that I didn't spend the amount that you spent on your suit. But then on the flip, you had people mad at you for spending so much.
Yeah.
Nobody was mad at me for spending so little.
Yeah.
They were pissed that I spent so little. But you got comments like, "Why did you spend so much? You could have gone to this place and got it for $100."
Yeah.
But I spent that much on my wedding dress and it's an outrage. I just think that like the sexism there, like financial sexism that women are expected
To
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 look better
splurge.
and pay more to look better and then splurge on these things. I'm sorry, I don't want a $5,000 wedding dress hanging in my closet.
That you're never gonna wear again.
Right. And also, I felt so free in my wedding dress, my $75 wedding dress, because I was dancing. I was having a good time. We were doing a little toke and I was like, if I get anything on my dress, if I spill something, if I ash on it or something,
Right.
I don't have to worry about like, oh my God, the money. I'm not judging if you've spent a lot of money on your wedding dress. I chose to spend little, and I don't think that that should be a problem.
Yeah, definitely not. But then, like, I did see some people, trying to defend me in the comments, which I really
Yes,
appreciated you
we
guys.
love the
Yeah.
defenders. Thank you to
Because a lot of
you.
people
It's
were like,
hard.
it's a good suit
Hmm.
and he's going to wear it several more times. And I was like,
Facts.
thank you. Like that's exactly what it
And
is.
that's the thing. I can't wear my wedding dress. I mean, I
You can.
can, but it would just be a very specific situation to wear a white formal dress.
Right.
But you can wear your suit
Yeah, because
over and over and over
it's a
again.
blue suit. And with
Hmm.
that I can change out the shirt to whatever I want it to be, change the shoes,
Yeah.
change the belt.
That was a good
Yeah.
investment.
So that's what it was. It was more so an investment.
Yeah,
So
and
I
you
just took
looked good.
advantage of it. Thank you.
The other thing that we got comments on was the flowers that I bought. So I bought these really beautiful flowers on Etsy. I actually decided to get a bouquet of artificial flowers because that was something that I did want to have forever. I wanted to have my bouquet, and I know some people preserve it, they get it dried,
Yeah.
they're live
It's a whole
flowers. It's a
process.
whole process, and I think it's beautiful when people do that. I just don't mind the look of artificial flowers, and I'm sorry, but my bouquet I thought was really
It was.
beautiful, and a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
people didn't know that they were artificial either, judging on the comments, because this one lady was like, how could you spend so much money on your bouquet versus your dress, and the bouquet is like is literally not gonna last. And I'm like, that just shows that
Yeah. They did
my
it. They did
bouquet
their
did a
job.
really good job, that it wasn't fake, it was artificial, you couldn't even tell. Check. But now I have my bouquet in our house,
Yeah.
right next to our wedding photo, and I love to be able to see it. So I think that was a good amount of money to spend on it. The bouquet itself cost $134, so like double what my wedding dress was, but still like less than
Yeah.
$200. I think that's a win. What did we have regrets on spending? I have one, and it was our getaway car.
Oh, the Porsche? Oh,
That
why?
wasn't even that
Yeah, it
expensive,
wasn't
though,
that
and
expensive.
if we cut it, it wouldn't have made a big dent in
Right.
our budget, honestly. Because the Porsche, we got a Turo,
Y-
which is like,
Well, no, we used
we
Turo.
used Turo. We got a Turo, it's a
Yeah.
new car.
We used Turo to pretty much rent a Porsche 911, which
Yeah,
I had never driven a Porsche before, but
it
um
was
yeah,
red.
like I'm a fast driving guy, so I was like, "Oh, let me
You
try out
like
a Porsche."
cars. Yeah.
Um
It cost
then
$170
yeah,
and $10 for gas.
unfortunately for Porsche, I didn't like it.
Mm,
Which I mean, I feel like that's the best way to experience cars for
mhm.
all these car people out here that's listening. I'd suggest that when you get the chance, rent the cars that you want to buy
Yeah.
instead of buying them, because then you get to try them out first and figure out what you actually do like. I got in the Porsche, it sat way too low for me. Yeah, I didn't really like the Porsche just because of how low it sat, but the price itself, I don't feel like it was too bad, and it
No.
was a 1, 2 day rental.
Yeah.
We literally just used it to go to the ceremony and then go to the reception and home.
Yeah.
Got some pictures with it.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't have made a difference to our budget. It was just kind of one of those things that, like, you didn't even really end up liking the car too much. I didn't really care. So I'm like, $180
Yeah.
we could have saved. But ultimately, when you're looking at 11,000 and you take that off, that's not
Yeah.
really going to make a big
Right, right.
difference. But the things that did, the reception, the open bar, the food, that was worth spending on for me. Some people were saying, like, how can you serve burgers and bar food at your wedding? And I'm like, I thought that was so
Yeah. And
fun.
we're literally at the bar. Like
I don't know about
Yeah.
you, but I've been to several weddings where the food was not good.
Yeah.
Or it's like so little, like you get this little tiny
Right.
plate.
A little bitty piece of fish,
Yeah.
you know?
The majority of people that were at our wedding were Marines anyway, so they are not picky. They will eat anything as long as there's alcohol, which is
Right.
mostly what we were paying for, was that
Exactly.
open
And
bar.
that was the thing too, is we told everybody, hey, open bar,
Mhm.
drink as much as you want to, drink please drink as much as you want to because we have to meet the bar minimum.
Yeah, we had to
Um,
meet the bar
and then we
minimum.
had all of the food brought out, and it was brought out fresh too, which like shout out to Spider Kelly's. You guys really handled that really well.
They were so great.
They were like hustling,
Yeah, they
which was
were.
super nice. And on top of that, we had desserts too. We had the
Mhm. Chocolate chip
macarons,
cookies,
the
yeah.
macar
Oh,
yeah,
the
yeah. Shout
macarons.
out to yeah, to
Caroline.
Caroline. Shout out to Caroline. She did an amazing job with the macarons.
So shout out to Sweets by Caroline. She's in the DMV area. She's a baker. She's a wonderful person, a close friend of ours as well. And she makes these amazing baked goods. And we decided to forego a wedding cake because you're not really a
Yeah, I'm not
sweets
really a cake
person.
person.
I love cake, but I thought it would be fun to do like a tower of macarons
Yeah.
because we wanted to have something that incorporated our
Pets.
pets. We have two cats and two dogs at the time. We didn't have our youngest dog, Semi. We had three fur babies, and Caroline actually printed their pictures on top of the
Yeah, it
macarons.
was super sweet. So
So
therefore they were
sweet.
able to be there without being there.
Yeah, it was really sweet. That was such a nice touch. And we also did other things that were really cheap. We did temporary custom tattoos.
Yeah.
As you can tell, we have tattoos. We love getting them together. It's one of our hobbies, I guess,
I
is
guess so.
getting
Yeah.
tatted.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went on Etsy. I got these cute tattoos that say like Hannah and James forever, kind of like in that traditional like I love mom
Yeah,
thing. And
the traditional tattoo style.
yeah, so we did that, and a bunch of people got them on like their necks and stuff. And I just thought that was
Yeah.
so sweet. Like it was a nice little touch. And then we got a Polaroid and a book where people could take a picture in our with the Polaroid and then leave a note. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I go through that book and I just get all the
Yeah. It was super
warm,
nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
warm fuzzies.
Then we paid for one thing we paid for like some heart cones for us to garden out of. So literally next to the book we had just a jar of
And shout out Spider
flour.
Kelly's for being cool with letting us just garden in their
Yeah.
back
They definitely
patio.
didn't care, and like that was the
No.
thing too, because we're gardeners. So we asked, "Hey, can we garden back here?"
Mhm.
And he was like, "It's your venue. Do whatever you want." So
Yeah.
shout out to you guys for
It's
that.
your event, not
Yeah,
venue.
yeah.
They're like,
Well,
"You are the new owner."
right. I'm signing it over now.
Yeah, but I mean, overall, I loved our wedding.
Yeah.
I thought it was so sweet. I think if we could do it over again, honestly, I'd elope just because there were problems in the background with
Yeah.
family, but it was also really sweet. Like I have no regrets. I love
Yeah.
what we did with it.
And we got some great memories out of it. Some great pictures too.
Mhm.
Great videos. Great experiences. So
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely grateful for it.
Some people really quick last one, some people were like, why didn't you do a destination wedding? And I want to bring that up because if you're listening to this and you're planning a wedding and you're wondering how to do it as cheap as possible, yada yada, I think a destination wedding is a really great option for people. A lot of comments were like, I paid way less for a destination wedding in Jamaica. I think that's great. For us, it didn't work out because a lot of our guests weren't going to be able to come, and
Correct.
we knew that that was going to add to the cost. So I don't think it would have been as cheap if we had done a destination wedding. But if you have a small party, you don't have a wedding party like we did, we didn't have
Or
a
they're able to pay their own way.
groomsman. Yeah.
You know?
So I think that's also an option. But I hope listening to this, there were some good takeaways on how you can save money on your wedding too and still have a good time. It doesn't
So
have to be a big ballroom in
right.
the middle of a savanna forest. I don't know what that is,
Yeah.
but it sounds nice.
So my takeaway from our wedding experience and how much we spent is if you're planning a wedding, I'd say sit down with your spouse because ultimately it's about you two. And just determine what you two actually want. Everybody will tell you that you need to do this, you need to do that, but ultimately the day is about you two. If you guys' thing is that you love camping and s'mores, then do that. Like,
Yeah.
don't spend more than you need to, but then also don't skip on the things that will last the longest, like photography,
Hmm.
videography. I mean, your wedding bands. I mean, like at the end of the day, it's your wedding day. Spend what you want.
But all right, we hope this episode was helpful. If you're planning a wedding, hopefully we gave you some good advice, some things that you can utilize when you are budgeting your own wedding, but ultimately it's personal to you. And our advice would be don't tell people how much you spent because they're going to judge regardless. So if you tell them, just be open to all the different opinions you're going to get and just be comfortable with what you're spending at the end of the day. But yeah, so happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
We'll catch you next time, and I hope the racists like that.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.